Hey people, it is Toks here from Watered Seed. Welcome to another episode of Watered Seed Talks. Now I've got my niece with me here today, and today we're going to be having a conversation about what she will tell our 11-year-old self in regards to what is beautiful, what beauty means. So join us, let's dive in. Okay, so let me introduce my niece to you. This is
Wumi.
This is Wumi, yes, absolutely. And Wumi is, would you like me to tell them your age?
Yes, fine.
Okay, and Wumi is 21 now. So our conversation, as I've always said on talking to girls in regards to, what beauty is, we talk about a different range of things. But today, our conversation is, with what we know now, what would Wumi like to tell our 11-year-old self? And our topic today is about beauty. What would she have to go back, or what would she, if she had the chance to go back to her 11-year-old self, what would she be telling herself? So what would you be telling yourself? I mean, three things, because again, I know that we're going to expand and talk about it, but for you, what would be the number one thing that you would tell yourself?
The number one thing I tell myself is that these standards of beauty that you see in magazines, they're going to keep changing. They're going to keep shifting, and every day something new is going to be the trend, is going to be the thing that everyone thinks is beautiful. So don't stress yourself out if you don't look like, all these big celebrities, all these big influencers that, look a certain way, or, they're pushing this narrative that if you have this, you're beautiful, like when they used to say like big lips are ugly and now big lips are fashionable.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I would honestly just say that don't hold yourself to the standard of beauty that you see in the media.
So do you think that media actually has an influence to an 11-year-old in regards to how they need to
Definitely,
look?
yeah.
Absolutely. I've always said this, and my 10-year-old tells me this, but sometimes, you can be in your own niche and you think that it only impacts your child. But I mean, to hear it from you is just amazing, is the fact that is the norm, that is what happens when we expose our girls to all of these different images on what defines beauty. Either we like it or not, what happens is that they become to think that they have to be that. And so again, as parents, I just think we need to be aware. We want them to have fun, I understand, but also we just need to be very, very intentional in regards to what they're watching, what they're feeding, in regards to what they need to look like.
Yeah, I think you're so bombarded by it, you don't even register that you're taking it in. You just you consume it, but you're not really processing it. You're just looking at things and you're just thinking, and then your brain will be like, oh, this is a beautiful person and this is another beautiful person, and your brain will kind of internalize that until the point where you're just like, well, I don't look like that, and you don't even realize that it's been done to you. But through all these subliminal messages and billboards and magazines and the internet, you kind of keep consuming it without realizing, and then one day you wake up and you're just like, why do I feel like this about myself?
So do you think, apart from the conversation I've had, do you think that there is anything that a parent can do to then help that child to not be, I know I've said that, exposure and the rest of it. What else do you think we can do? Is there anything else we can do, or is it just exposure? For you, what would you think would have taken that away to even be in that thought process? Would it, because if you tell a child not to watch TV or watch, it could become like you're being controlling, and they don't realize this for their own, because I was exposed to it. I think we all were exposed to it, and we didn't really know subconsciously just how much part it took in how we value our images and what we look like and the rest of it. So do you think there's anything else that parents can do?
I think that definitely it helps having a range of different representative standards of beauty. And I think parents should kind of be encouraging their children to look at images of women who look more like them. So as a dark-skinned black woman, you want your daughter, as a dark-skinned black girl, to be looking at other dark-skinned black women who are beautiful, who are considered the ones that are the faces of magazines, and the people who are have all those campaigns and things like that. So you tell her that just because you look the way you look doesn't mean you can't be beautiful.
Absolutely. So is the range, is the range making them see different ranges of beauty, because our TV does not portray the different ranges, so we have to go away and find out this ranges so we can let them watch it. And I remember there was a research that I listened or I read in regards to asking young girls from the age of, I think, 5, in regards to what they thought a princess looks like. And these were girls from different parts of the world, Africa, America, Europe, everywhere. And the amazing thing was that each and every girl described almost the same type of princess, long hair, blonde, you know, the rest of it. And you kind of wonder, like, why is it that all of these girls in these different countries represented their own princess? And they asked them, do you think you're a princess? And they all said, no, I'm not, because I haven't got the long flowy hair. And so all of these things really matter. And so when we have, you know, when we're intentional and we're diverse in what our kids watch, then obviously it makes an impact. So is there anything else that you think you would like to tell your 11-year-old self? Apart from
so much.
I know because we're trying to limit the video to about 8-10 minutes so that some of the girls can watch this as well and really take away from this. Like I always say, you know, we're not experts, but the point is that we can always use our own experiences, share it with you, share it with the girls out there, for you to learn a thing or two in regards to, does this impact me? Does this apply to me? How do I make a difference in regards to myself? And you know what, you know, it's always the better version of ourselves, and that's what we're trying to do here. What else would you say? What about the hair?
I think for hair, the hair is
I know,
it's a lot.
Beauty,
it is a lot, honestly. And I think another thing is, like, we associate long hair with like femininity and beauty and like all this kind of stuff, and and like honestly, and when I was like, I think when I was 9, my mum took me to salon and cut off all my hair because it was so severely damaged from relaxing. And like when that happened, I went to school, my hair was so short, it was like a buzz cut, and I cried every day. And I was like, Mum, I just want long hair. As soon as my hair got long enough for braids, I got braids. And then like, you know, like 2 years ago, I just woke up one day and shaved off all my hair because I was like
no, but I think that is adulthood, that is realization, that is unlearning some things, unlearning images. I mean, I did the same. I grew up thinking beauty was obviously the blonde long hair. Now no one ever tells you that, you know, that's what it is. You just think that's what it is. And I would always have my hair, you know, braided. You know, it was all about my hair. It was, so when I started to unlearn things like we always do, the first thing I did was I went natural, just not relaxing my hair. It was pure natural. And for me, even to accept my beauty in that way was hard for me, because I was so used to my extensions, I was so used to the flowy hair, that growing my own natural hair, I just didn't feel as pretty. I just thought I had to do more. And you know, until my daughter started asking me questions, and you know, I would say to her, you're beautiful, but she would then say to me, but Mum, you've got this long flowy hair, and so you're beautiful and I'm not. And I started to ask myself, how can I tell my daughter that she's beautiful, but yet I've got extensions, flow? And remember that this does not apply to every parent out there. This was just my daughter asking me questions, and I had to go back and ask myself the question, that what is beauty to me? And so I had to get used to it. I mean, myself and my husband and I had this same conversation in regards to, do I look the same way as I used to when he met me? And you know, no, I don't, but it's a different me, it's a different kind of beauty. And we need to accept that beauty, because if we don't accept it, our children, our girls, you know, even our men cannot accept it, because again, there's a variation of beauty that they're used to. And so it is really from foundation. These changes has to be made, not for girls, but for boys alike, for, you know, the variety of races out there. Everybody just has to get used to this different varieties of beauty, our hair, what it needs to look like, you know, for children. You know, extensions is good for protective hairstyles, but it shouldn't define what beauty is for.
What you consider beautiful. Yeah. And I think that when you're a young black girl and you're like, you know, in school, like all these white girls, and they all have like their long hair, and then, you know, you've got your little afro, or you've got like your braids, you don't really feel like you feel like you're missing something, like you're lacking something.
Absolutely.
So you kind of want to, like, you want to remove yourself from,
you want to belong as well. You want to remove yourself, and then you want to belong. So because I remember my daughter used to ask me, she used to say, oh Mum, I want nice blonde hair. And I didn't understand what that meant. I said, do you want me to colour your hair? She said, no, that's not what I mean by blonde. I mean that I want long hair, because the way she associates long hair is that it's blonde. It has to be blonde. And so there are black women that have lovely long hair, but somehow she didn't resonate with the fact that a black person could have really nice long hair. It was just the fact that it had to be blonde. So I know it is so hard and ingrained in us in regards to how we need to do this. But we just need to, again, we need to think about this. We really do need to think about this in regards to how we go forward. So
I think it's about, firstly, like, it is the parents' job to kind of tell like your child, and also be like be an example. I think when you have a child, like you were saying, it's very different, because then that child now sees themselves in you, and so you have to make sure that whatever you're telling them is something that you're doing yourself.
Absolutely.
And so you have to.
Yes, I was just having that conversation with my husband, which is do as I do, not do as I say. So if we're telling them to do something, we better be emulating what we want them to do, because it's easy to say do as I say, but really, can you do as I do? Can you live without having your own extensions all year long? Can you do that? Can you, you know? So if we're telling our children, your hair is beautiful in the Afro puffs that we, you know, can we sustain ourselves in Afro puffs? So I think you have to just resonate from where the child's coming from.
Yeah.
What else do you think impacts beauty?
I think just so much.
What about the way we dress?
Just
the way we think that we have to look.
The way, I think the way that you think you have to look, and then also how, and it's to do with other people's opinions of you.
Yes.
So that's what kind of affects you. I think when you're young, you're very impressionable, and you're very, you know, you want to be like everyone else, and you don't want people to laugh at you.
Absolutely.
And so you think that, you know, if I do this, if I dress like this, if I look like this girl and that girl, you know, I'll be pretty too, and the boys will like me. And I think like it's like
girls under the age of 16, no boys, but you know what we're talking about.
But like when you're that age, you know, you're very affected by other people's opinions, and it's very difficult to remove yourself from that, because like, you know, you go to school, people are everywhere, people are always talking, and so honestly, I don't know what I'd say. I think I'd just say that you don't have to be like everyone else.
No, you don't.
As cliche as it sounds,
you just have to be your own self. What works for you, what looks nice on you. You know, if your African print looks nice on you, go for it. If you want to wear something else, I mean, go for it. Again, I think variety is the spice of life. So whatever you are happy with yourself to look in, then just go for it. I mean, like I always say, we're all unique, and we all need to tap into our own uniqueness. Parents, you need to let your children be unique, and it's okay for them to be different. You know, we don't always have to put all of them to say, oh, look at your friend, or your friend's doing that, why aren't you doing that? You know, they're unique. We can refine that uniqueness, but we can't shut it down completely. And so I really hope that you've managed to, you know, get an in-depth, well, not in-depth, but you know what I mean, in regards to our conversation today. I hope that it's made sense to you, it makes sense to us, and thank you, Mommy. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.